Tidradio H3 Plus. I only had one, which was this one, so I couldn't test the wireless, and it became obvious that the wireless only works with another Tidradio H3 Plus. It will not work with the H3 or the HL8 third generation, excuse me. So I created a little test there, which I'll show. The first time that I did the wireless, it worked fine, but when I started to check some of the settings, it didn't quite match. And so what I did, this particular radio in particular, because I was cloning to the black one, I went by holding the push to talk and holding the asterisk or star. Of course, you're powered off and then you power on. You have the option of ham radio, GMR, or normal. So I initially set it to ham, and that erased everything, of course. And then I redid it again, but this time open or normal, which this was. And then I did another wireless sync, and then it was identical. So if you find something not working right, that's probably one of the reasons. So you may want to try that. This particular black one came with some of the accessories, like this mic speaker. I did a quick play with it. You need to kind of learn to balance the gain and audio levels. You can increase the audio levels with this little button, but it also increases the voice, which is irritating and too loud. So I turned it down to a normal level, and then I used the radio itself to set the audio receiver level. I'll be playing with this a little bit more and see if it's something that might be suitable. I don't see a need for it myself, but we'll have to see. And of course, it does work. I think the biggest feature about the Plus is the Bluetooth capability. It certainly has expanded the Bluetooth capabilities with so many devices, including your iPhone, even using my current iPhone Beta 26. So, even connected to my ICOM 705. So it seems to be very universal, which is a good sign. I'm going to use Chirp, their latest version as of September 2nd of 2025. They're coming out with updates, and there is still some things missing in this. But it will show what can and can't be done. And then we'll go using Chrome for ODMaster, which in fact right now is working better than Chirp. So I go do a download from the radio. I have this port and I'm going to use that. Okay, so yeah, the Chirp still doesn't support the TD Gen 3rd generation. The cat here was wanting my attention here. Okay, just gonna finish this. There we go. So this is all the channels I have programmed. What's nice about Chirp, it's so easy to do copy and paste, which you can't do with ODMaster. So, and not that, but you can probably download all the repeaters and paste it in. So when it comes to initially creating frequencies, repeaters, and so forth, this works great. Copy and paste, especially if you open up 2 or 3 different windows or tabs, and you go copy, paste, copy, paste. Okay, so that part works, no problem. Settings. For one thing, it only has the H3, actually not even H3. It has settings for PF1 and PF2, but not for PF2 and PF2 long and short. So you can't fully program all of that information. There's a couple other little small things, but it's easy to correct when you go into the menu itself. And that's the way I have it here. And then for FM, I put in the frequencies. Interesting. There is one missing here. Okay, we'll go to settings. This is the FM. I put in the frequencies in here. I just added that one there. For some reason, it wasn't there. I thought I'd put it in. But then that's what happens. Sometimes it doesn't import exactly what's on the radio. Leaves out a few things. So I think the best feature for Chirp Radio at this very moment is when you're setting up your frequencies, because of the copy and paste, and you could also download all sorts of files of different repeaters, and you can have several tabs open and do a copy and paste. So in my case, I already had a database created for all my radios, and I basically have the same thing for all the radios regardless of the brand. But if you don't have that, this is one way. Now for Chrome, what's nice about Chrome, you can use Bluetooth, and I have Bluetooth turned off, so let me put that on the radio. Okay, it's on. Hit pair. Okay, ODMaster. At this moment, it works better than Chirp, other than programming frequencies. Now, if you select the wrong one, like H3, but you in fact have the H3 plus normal, you'll need to select that. Okay. First thing you gotta do is select the correct model, H3 plus, normal, or open. Hit add, and then hit read. It seems a little bit slower than the H3, but then it's probably has more settings. Okay. When it comes to frequencies, it works great. It's just that you can't do copy and paste as easily. And here's the features. And this is where you have the extra keys that you can program, which Chirp currently only shows one set. So it doesn't really support the H3 Plus completely. And this is the way I program my VFOs, A-band, B-band. Don't do much there. I like my FM. And it always defaults to 8, even though I originally put it to 1. Not sure why, but it does work better than Chirp when it comes to settings. It's more accurate. And once it's set up properly once, there's very little settings I have to go in the actual radio to correct. So they're getting there. I tried the ODMaster app, it's not that convenient. If you only want to make one change and you're not near a computer, sure, but you can't use that same file and plug in another radio and make updating 2-3 radios. You have to resort to wireless copy then. So that's a quick rundown. Now, I gained some questions and apparently some confusion about dual mode. And especially if you have the H3 and now you have the H3 Plus, the menus have changed. And the book that comes with the H3 Plus is not fully updated. When they refer to a menu, scan menu, at number 15, it's actually called display on the H3 Plus. So let's explain how this works. Well, first of all, on the H3, you had to have D-Wait, which is menu 9. You had FM Dual Watch, which was number 18. Then you have Sync, which is number 36. And there was another one, deck code. For some reason, on some versions, it would stop having the ability to listen to dual band at the same time. That's something I'm looking into it, but have it off and no problems. Okay. Now, the book talks about Sync, which is 36 on the H3, but it does not exist on the H3 Plus. In fact, it's called Display. So let's go to, wrong one here. I'll go here. Radio settings. Okay, I got distracted by, okay, radio settings. Now we're going to scroll down to where I could just typed in 15, but see, dual watch, of course, number 10 will have to be on. Okay, dual watch number 10 will allow you to receive on both bands at the same time, at least according to the manual. And it seems to work that way. You can receive on both bands at the same time. Okay, next one, which is 15. Now, this has display replaced, I guess, the H3, single, dual, and classic. I'm using classic right now. So that's all you need, is to choose one of these, either dual or classic. And by so doing, you'll have dual band, you'll have dual display, and it'll also display A and B at the same time. The book calls it scan instead of display, but anyways, I'm sure it will get updated. Okay. Now, there is one more area. This is in the program channel. Some people have complained that one of the bands is deaf. They see a carrier, but they don't get no audio. And I think the issue is in number 2, program, and then scroll down to 5. Busy lock. Okay, what does busy lock do? If you have it on and the frequency that you want to transmit on, if it's occupied, in other words, busy, or perhaps even a carrier of some sort, even though it's not a valid signal, you won't be able to transmit. So I leave it off, and this way, if I want to break into a conversation with someone at the same time, it will allow me to transmit. So it can be confusing for some. Yeah, between misinformation in the books that come with the unit, a lot of the programming software, whether it be ODMaster or web or ODMaster app or Chirp or whatever other method you have, they're not consistent. So you have to be aware of it. So if you have something funny going on, if you have one radio that working fine, just do a wireless clone copy, put it back to the way it was. Sometimes you may need to reset to perhaps ham band or there to then back to normal. Shouldn't have to do that, but that's one way out of it. I had to do it one or two radios because of that mix-up using different software that's obviously out of date. Okay, there is one more area which I've been looking into it, and it's called hopping. The concept, I believe, is it will shift frequencies. It doesn't. The book doesn't tell me anything really, whether it's confined to a certain segment of the frequency band. I'm assuming that feature is for GMRS. They do have channels, like 22, 24 channels, and perhaps it jumps with there. But on the ham bands, it doesn't tell me. So I'm assuming it doesn't work for the ham bands. At least I hope not, because you can end up jumping and interfering with valid activities, input of a repeater, for example. So unless you know how it works, or I would appreciate the information if you have experimented with it. I haven't yet, but you want to keep that in mind. You could end up not being popular, causing interference. So I never use anything unless I know how it works. And even online, when I go to Tidradio, it just tells you how to turn it on, what it kind of does, but that's it. No specific information, which is essential so that you don't cause interference. And also keep in mind, when you do turn on the AM portion of the radio, you're not licensed to transmit. So be careful. Fine, you're allowed to listen. That's one feature. It'd be nice to have the AM option turned on so you can do the receiving that you want, but to accidentally transmit, that could happen. So it would be nice if they had a feature where you can receive, but you can also turn off the transmit on certain bands. Makes sense? I hope Tidradio is listening. And also to provide a little bit more details on how some of these functions work. The frequencies that they will use in the hopping scenario, stuff like that. If you have any of that information, it would be appreciated. And anyways, I'll cut this short. I have lots more information yet to share, both with the H3 and the H3 Plus, and I also a DMR radio, which I'm waiting for it to arrive. Until then, it would be appreciated if I can get a thumbs up and a subscribe. All these equipment that I have are not sponsored. No one's pays me. It comes out of my own pocket because I only buy stuff that I think I'm going to use and feel that it might be good. If it's not, I'll say it. Not buy no more. Get rid of them. But once or twice a year, I test all my equipment. Like I said, I got over a dozen. The power output and so forth. And I did that recently on all my radios. And it's nice to know that the transmission on both bands were 5 watts or a little bit more. I don't think none of them were under 5 watts. Even if it was a little bit, it's not an issue, but I was surprised. I was expecting one to be like 4 or something, but they were all 5 and over by a little using a dummy load. So, and I had these for quite a few years, kicking around. They've survived, so that's a good indication. So that's about it. Take care. Have a nice day. Okay. Now, this is freshly arrived. I did order the ham unlocked. However, you're not sure. So what I usually do is I power it off. I hold the push to talk button and the star or asterisk and power on. Interesting. Ham and normal.
Welcome.
Okay. That's different. Let's see if the other one's the same way. It appears what I order, you don't always necessarily get. So I go through this step. Okay. All my other radios have 3 options: GMR, ham, and normal. Okay, I may have the volume down low. Okay. Let's see how it thinks. Okay, I will hold this function button and turn her on. Okay, so that's ready. Let me see if I can set her up somewhere. That'll be visible. I'll have to turn it down, I guess. Okay, let's try this. And then I'll do the same thing with this. Okay. And I'll hit the button on this one. Okay, I guess I can't sync both of these together. Oh, how come I'm having focus issues here? There we go. Even the syncing is different. It seems to send in little batches. And when it acknowledges, then it continues to another little batch. So the radio that's being programmed has a green process, while the master just stays white. 88%, 91, 99. Okay. I'll turn this off. And then I'll turn this off. Put it back on. And let's see what we have here. Radio. Yeah, before I do that, I'm going to actually just get out. Yeah, obviously the settings didn't take completely. Typical. May have to do it twice. That's the type of problem I'm noticing with the wireless syncing. It isn't exactly the same. Okay, I did a second sync and it didn't quite still finish 100%. A couple settings were off only. Nothing serious. Anyways, as a precaution, I went to ODMaster using Chrome and took a look at it and then resynced it with another radio that was set up the way I wanted. And it corrected those few little things. So probably just a glitch in the wireless syncing. So this is on the H3 Plus we're talking about, not the H3, just to let you know. And another area that I've been asked about is transmission. On the H3, I'll grab that one. It has two transmit buttons. Okay. VFO A, VFO B. On the H3 Plus, it has only one push to talk. And to switch to the other one, you're going to have to hit the A and B. I got it locked right now. Let me just unlock it. There you go. So I would have to switch like that. But all the other functions, you know, do receive, do listening at the same time, and so forth, works. So now I have all the H3 Plus, which I have, I think is 1, 2, 3, 4, which is enough. Let's bring the other one away. And we'll do some more testing. One radio came with the clip broken, which is why one radio doesn't have it. I'm thinking of removing those clips. I found that they tend to be more out of the way than handy. So I'm not going to worry about replacing it. So far, it seems to work great. I will be doing more comparisons to see how it performs. The power output on these were all okay, except for the two I haven't tested. These clear ones or gray ones. But the black and the green, yeah, they were all 5 watts plus on both bands. And I'll test this one. If there's any difference on the next video, I will bring it up. Again, it'd be appreciated if you haven't subscribed, to subscribe, thumbs up, and until then, have a nice day. If you haven't done so, it would be appreciated. Please subscribe. And thank you for watching. Have a nice day.